Armageddon on my soapbox.
What? Welcome back to the Kieran Show. My name's Kieran, his name is Kieran, and that's the name of our show because we named it after us, because we love each other and ourselves. 10th edition was
That's a different channel.
fine. 10th edition was fine.
I liked it. I started 9 armies.
Yeah, I mean,
The releases for 10th edition were good enough to make me start an army for everything.
we're in a strange position at the moment where I go, do I play a game of 10th edition or do I just wait till 11th? So we made the silly decision of going to a 8-game tournament for the Warhammer Open on the last week, supposedly, of the edition. So, good.
I mean, if it's not just for reference, it's the end of May. So if it's not the last weekend, it's definitely one of the last.
Yeah.
Because they've said it in the trailers, it's coming out in June.
Torellas.
Torelias.
Discord. Yeah, we're going to have like t-shirts with Torellas. Cool. I mean, yeah, we're in a very strange position where we've seen all the 10th edition jargon, is all kind of finished and done. We've seen the trailer for 11th. There's lots of things to dwell on for the future as well. Some things we know about, some things we don't. So we'll talk about literally all of it, starting with 10th edition. So I think the end of 9th, we had Arcs of Omen and lots of fun towards the end.
It was a lot of fun.
Comparatively, how have you found the releases for 10th?
Releases wise, we've had a few bangers.
Like?
Coach has.
That's not the end of the edition, but I understand the point.
No, so the 10th edition in the run-up, I think just a sweeping statement for the whole of the miniatures release. We had some absolute bangers. Space Wolves being one, Krieg being one, Eldar being one. I think it's definitely big energy for releases in terms of armies and codexes and whatnot. End narrative.
I
don't think there was. I'm going to get shouted down there. I don't think there was one. I preferred Arcs of Omen. I didn't like this weird, just disjointed thing.
I think the biggest highlight for me has been the Defiler and Wazdaka, but the hype for like the last miniature to be revealed was a cinematic trailer. Again, love it.
Brilliant
and then
trailer.
They revealed Yarrick, and I was like, okay, but forgive me if I'm wrong.
I think it was just fine.
But I think the thing I've found throughout all of this is that there's just been like such an insane lack of hype. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's the disjointed nature. I think you look at Arcs of Omen, look at how many characters came back for that. You had Snakerot, you had Farsight to name one, and then at the end you had a Primarch. As much as I'm not so into more Primarchs returning to the setting, which sounds funny as a Space Marine simp, they do add hype and they do sell.
I think,
remember you couldn't get the line at all.
No.
I had to buy it off some random guy on Twitter.
That's true.
I paid him on PayPal on the assumption that if I don't get this, listen, get my money back. And then a lion just turned up at my house.
Yeah, it's funny, like, because I think in line with the trailer, I think that it was good. I think it just could have done with that being a reveal show, like a Adepticon or something. And it would have been like, that's where your hype is. End of the edition is coming. Oh, by the way, the Armageddon launch box will show you the trailer or a sneak peek of the trailer at the end, and it will all kind of materialise. We've got this hype train to build enough of a road, I suppose.
I don't think the hype train, just to use your analogy, I don't think the hype train ever left the station.
What do you mean?
So if you cast your mind back to Arcs of Omen, we started off. We had, like I mentioned, we had Snakerot, Farsight, we had Vashtor. Then we firmly pulled into the station of the Primarch, and then there was the Lion. We had this. There was a cadence, and then a big bang at the end. Whereas this, we've had Titus and an unbelievable cinematic trailer.
Well, I think
A weird Necron man, who is a really cool mini.
Yeah.
And then
I suppose that's
just a sprinkling of stuff.
Well, that's to be said, I think, for the end narrative. I think we all thought it was going to be called the 500 Worlds, and that was going to be it. And then it went 500 Worlds, then it was Maelstrom, then it was
Reign of Iron.
Eye
of Terror, maybe, I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was Eye of
And
Terror.
then it was Return to Armageddon.
And and I think that individually they're all quite cool concepts. I just think joined up, it feels a bit odd. And like even that's another point actually. We brought back Apocalypse. That's a huge thing to do. And
but
I've seen
it was just
nothing.
it was a bit of a footnote, wasn't it?
We're just like, oh yeah, Apocalypse is back. And I remember reading that being like, let's go, Apocalypse is back. Then I realised, well, technically with the points increases for 10th edition, every game is Apocalypse now. But the point being, I was like, we can have Apocalypse games, that's so much fun. And I've seen it nowhere. Like, coverage has been an all-time low. I've not really seen, again, probably tandem with that lack of hype. And I think the campaign narrative that's kind of been strung, because it's been disjointed, like, and you're obviously already just mentioned, like, Titus got such a worldy trailer.
Yeah.
I was like, what, he's the main character now. Like, this is where we're going. This is obviously going to be where we end up, which is fine. And, you know, for 11th edition, which we'll talk about in a minute, if it is Calgar that's kind of orchestrating all the stuff on Armageddon, I just think surely that 500 Worlds campaign would have been, like, great to go through, see what happens, introduce these other characters, and then go, by the way, sorry, he rejoins Calgar for Armageddon, and we have this kind of like main character syndrome for 40k.
I think there's been...
Oop, bum. I said bum. Whoop, bum.
I think there's been some really, really cool lore in these self-contained pockets. They're just, I think I missed... But then maybe that makes more sense. Like, all these armies aren't all aware of each other. Do we need that narrative that spreads across all of them? Like, they're not all going to care about their arcs of Omen, which is Vastor doing Vastor things. Whereas this, maybe being more disjointed, sent you into a few different realms and kind of alluded to the grandeur of 40k in general, that it's so many planes of existence.
I think the intention was always to go back to Armageddon. They were just biding time before they got
But they kind
there.
of already went there, didn't they, with the Crusade book as well?
When was that? Ninth?
No, in 10th edition there was a Crusade book for some stuff with the Grey Knights and Demons. I think that was based on Armageddon.
Oh yeah, yeah, it was.
Good little book. Same as Crusade, and only 5 people play that.
Well,
No one plays it now.
they've sold that. There you go. No more games for you. Yeah, I just think it was a bit of a shame. I think that it felt like everything was kind of being hemorrhaged and being rushed along, being like, no, okay, 11th edition now, 11th edition. And I think that's fine, but I think we also got some, you know, off-fast artwork for Demon Petty Rubes, and I was like, is he going to be the big bad at the end of the edition? And then it was just like, no, it's still the 11th edition. And I think that all of that, I think that last stream at Adepticon where they went, bung, 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 all this stuff, and they went, oh, let's show a trailer for Armageddon. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, we're just going straight for it. That's fine. It's only May. May? Not even May. It's March. And I was like, okay, that all makes sense. They went, here's an intercessor. And I just went, wah. And I was just like, feels a bit weird. Feels like you just should have left it. Because, yeah, I mean, my hype died when I saw that. But
I think, just to sum up the narrative bit, I think I can... We mentioned this before. You're all excited about the Rogue Mini. Maybe it's cool to you that Yarrick is back, but Commissar Graves was the better mini, and everything else was a lot of fine.
Yeah,
the Iron Warriors character with the Warsmith, really cool. Wazdacker was really cool. The Titus Mini looked really cool. It was horrible to paint.
I just think that the Yarrick Mini was done a little bit dirty. I think it needed almost like a extra special attention, like a bit more of a scenic base. Whether you had extra, you know, doodles on the base or whatever, like had more of like a, I think I mentioned this before, like a Helbrecht kind of feel to it, like a little bit more scenic, which seems overcompensating for a Commissar, but it's freaking Yarrick.
Yeah, but it's odd, isn't it? Like there's been a cadence set that obviously the end of the edition comes with Primarchs, so I'm totally fine with not having one. But you're filling a Primarch shoes.
It's weird, isn't it?
I think we could talk about it to the cows come home.
I'm just sick of it. I'm taking it upon myself. I'm going to make a new Yarrick, and I'm going to make it better than what they've done. Sorry, the people at Warhammer. I think I could do better. Anyway, looking ahead to 11th edition, we've seen some changes already. It seems to have shaken up the current, let's call it meta, plays of 10th edition, and a lot of things that people are, let's say, unhappy with.
Combat is definitely back.
Hey, this seems to be the year of combat.
And it still tickles me to no end that, so we've got CPs, we'll now be referring to detachments as DPs.
Yeah, I don't know who did that. Who did DPs?
The amount of giggles you'll hear.
DPs.
Anyway, let's move on before we get cancelled.
I think the granularity that people were missing in 10th edition, I think, is now reintroduced with this. I think I've seen a lot of concern about the potential of like a rules bloat or detail bloat.
Yeah.
But I don't really mind it, to be honest. Like if somebody, you know, whenever we play, you know, these kind of games, like if you are doing the army builder, you kind of know what you're in for. If Kieran came to me and went, oh, by the way, I've spent 2 DPs on making my Space Wolves be able to do this, I'd be like, sweet, I've spent my 3 DPs to make my whatever army do this. And I think it kind of gets forgotten about. So long as you know your own rules, like with any game, you're fine. I think that's going to be okay. I think adding granularity back into the game, where it
narrative, baby.
Yeah, it's so much better. And you obviously, we mentioned things like the year of combat. We've obviously mentioned combat range is now 2 inches instead of 1 inch.
That's World Eaters players are looking pretty happy.
Yeah, Worldy is
Space Wolves,
Blood Angels, anybody that loves.
I tell you what, 20 Blood Claws now is hellish.
Yeah, you won't be.
I couldn't fit them all in before.
You're not going to be stood at the table shadowboxing as your entire army gets alpha striked. You will be like, wait.
However, you can't see things until they've been engaged, which I think is a massive improvement.
That's
Obviously, this is all just spitballing because no one's played a game yet, but on the surface of it, big fan of that change.
Yeah, with the rules being hidden until they're either seen, which is from...
Turn...
No, it's from a certain distance, or they shoot.
Yeah, so essentially you start popping off and they can see you.
And from what I've seen from the articles, it gives things with Infiltrate, with Deep Strike, with Scout, whatever, a purpose. Like, heaven forbid Space Marine players use Scouts to scout. I think that's sensational. I think that's really, really good.
Yeah, Wolf Scout's going to get pretty good right about now.
Yeah, word long, I mean, heaven forbid
I wonder if there's going to be... Tau will be a prime example of things that go against it. What I don't want them to do is start pulling apart that rule and go, you can change it.
Yeah, so I like it to a point. I think that as a Tau player, I look at all of these new changes with more terrain, obviously the year of combat, whatever, combat range being a little bit larger, and then the whole, effectively everything's got loan up until they are seen or they can shoot. As a Tau player that's had to kind of adapt the alpha strike to make it suit them, and I say this as a problem, like crying from my ivory tower, nailed it. I'm a bit okay. So, for example, if they went, oh, by the way, all of your spotting units will be able to spot hidden units, complete game changer.
Well, that means the rule set.
So it doesn't, because it depends if Tau go, only these certain units can spot. So for example, they cannot be like, oh, your Riptide can't spot, or your whatever can do. It can only be, let's say, a Firesight team, Stealth team, and like a few others. I think that's how they really kind of like get down to the nitty gritty, or you have to have the marker like keyword or whatever. That's fine. I'm totally okay with all that. I think if they get to a point where they're like, oh no, all of them can spot and all of them can see the entire army, then suddenly like the year of combat or whatever is going to change a little bit. But I'm okay with it. I'm okay.
I'm a big fan of Overrun.
I can only imagine. That's actually what was going to be my next point. If you've got 2-inch combat, effectively loan up until you're seen or you shoot, and you've got, let's say, advance and charge, you are just turned to boom, and you're like, ah!
Obviously, we don't know how. I don't think everything will get overrun. They haven't, obviously, at the time of recording, shown off all the details for around that. I remember seeing it in one of the early articles, and I went, 20 Blood Claws being able to overrun to go, I've already killed that thing. I'll move forward a bit more.
Exciting.
Big fan to see how that works.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I wasn't really, super keen on the Armageddon box, but knowing that you've got a core book, a lore book, mission cards, and campaign cards.
Big fan of campaign cards.
Yeah, so Crusade, I think, had a great bone structure. I think that...
We lacked the player base.
Well, there's that. I mean, I've played Crusade a few times, and I think you get to sort of like game 4, game 5, and you've made these like godlike characters that are just like, what on earth am I doing with this? Like, this is just not fun anymore. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. So to have a self-contained mission deck, and I think I remember seeing it was like between 3 and 5 missions. I might have got that wrong. Comments down below. To have that where each campaign you play is slightly different, it's dependent on obviously the outcomes of each game. Great, love that. I will probably play that. He says. Complete barefaced lie, more than the mission deck, because that appeals to me more from like a narrative sense.
Yeah.
I think it will encourage people to take, different DPs.
They're still going to take 3 defilers though.
Oh, great. Oh, all the people that bought 3 defilers enjoy a lack of spotting and take up all of your board space. Losers. Anyway, yeah.
They're not losers, they've got cool minis.
Yeah.
Narrative.
They'll get absolutely blasted by your 20 blood claws. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Being able to overrun a defiler is...
It's a rough time for sure. But yeah, I think it sets a very interesting precedent moving forward. I think it includes sort of like rules I think that are good for the game moving forward. I think granularity, just kind of including everybody. You don't have to have an alpha strike shoot you off the board list. You don't have to have a crazy combat list. I think people are going to play into it quite well. I'm quite excited.
Yeah, I mean, I think the end of the edition was fine. I think I would have liked a bit more. I think it needed a Peter Turbo to come out with Iron Warriors to really sell that that feel. Obviously, we have some Commissar. I'm not going to go to another rant about Commissar Graves.
I think it just needed a little bit more time.
It needed a centerpiece, and I think if Yarrick was going to be that, they didn't nail it. But maybe they were just riding on the love for Yarrick that all 5 of them have.
I just think that's a lazy approach. You can't just be like, oh, he's cool, people like him, let's just release what we used to have. That's lazy. It is. You can't... Yeah, just... I don't know. I understand that...
I'd be excited to see what Kit Bashers do with him.
Give me the mini. I'll get that guy.
I'm not willingly buying it.
Rude.
Buy a Commissar Graves.
Yarrick on a bus coming up.
If you could make that look like Dick Dastardly or something from Wacky Races, I'd be well into it.
I'll give him like a really long...
Just put a little sniggering dog in the back.
A cyber mastiff. Yeah, oh God, how stupid. Is there anything from 11th edition that you want before we obviously know about all the rules that will come out?
Thunderwolf Cavalry.
Not really where I was headed, but sure.
I'm really excited to see. Obviously, they're pushing narrative as that's the bones and the gubbins that make up 11th edition. Really excited to see how that marries up, because if you remember way back when there was a little game called Warhammer 40,000 10th edition, they said simplified, not simple, and that there would be minimal rerolls.
Yeah, that's actually number 1 on my list. Just remove them. Just remove them, please. I know they won't. I've already seen one thing from the DPs with rerolls. I just want less of that. If you're going to include them in certain detachments for specific units. Don't just have like rerolls everywhere. It just bores me to death, and it completely changes other variables on what's good and what's not.
Yeah.
So please,
for sure.
I beg. Anything else?
No, really excited to see how granularity works. Really excited to see how points work. I think everybody's waiting with bated breath to see how that works.
Yeah, if they if they lower points again, that will be a real kick in the teeth.
Yeah, poor one out of Votan players. I remember when they went from a 2,000 point army to a 1,000 point army.
Yeah, well, I did exactly the same thing with Tau last edition. Like, I bought 1,200 points, and then I went down to 600, and that was like the first week of the edition. I was like, why?
Smartest business decision ever. Made you buy. I don't agree with it, but
it wasn't what I was banking on. Yeah,
it's not what you saved your pocket money up for.
No, that's true. Yeah, I would like to see a little bit more care for the community in upping the points slightly.
Not massively. I think obviously,
seeing
your minis on the table is cool. I get it, but
I tell you what, let's meet in the middle.
A little bit.
Let's meet in the middle and go, what is 2,000 points? No, what is 1,750 points now? Make that the new 2K.
It's interesting because I think that I've seen a swathe of people on the internet that have been playing at 1,750 points. And 1,500.
Yeah, 1,500 is a sweet spot. I'd argue 1,250 is my favoured way of playing, but yeah, fine. Just make it less. I think that's fine. Cool. If you would like to do anything for 11th edition, buy some new armies, buy Armageddon, buy some books, buy some other things, go click the affiliate links down below. While you're there, click like and sub, because that'd be cool. Maybe even hype, because that's a thing I keep seeing.
Do you even hype?
Right. No.
I need to say it.
Why would I not say that? You literally...
Got him.
Kobe. But yeah, let us know what your ambitions are for 11th, what you'd like to see, what you hated about 10th, what you liked about 10th. That would also be really, really cool. If you'd like to join the Cult of Kieran, list on the left. You could join these names. These names in these decorated halls of nonsense.
Just Finians.
I don't know what that is.
I mean, there was a glaring one that we could have done instead, and I'm glad we didn't.
RDPs. It took me a minute. I was like, hold on. No, I've got it.
Whoa, there we go.
But yeah, nothing else to say. Peace and love. Goodbye.
Bye.